Hello, and thanks for tuning in to the Hightail webinar on improving creative collaboration. My name is Liana Tellerico. I'm a member of the marketing team here at Hightail, and I'm here to introduce you to our COO, Mike Trigg.
Thanks everybody for joining today. As Liana mentioned, I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Hightail, which means I manage kind of our go-to-market function, so marketing, sales, BD, support, and in that role, I find myself to be a power user of Hightail. I use it all the time on all the creative projects, visual projects that we work on, particularly within our marketing and design teams. So we thought it'd be interesting as we get into the demo a little bit later here to show how we use the product on everything we create, from TV spots to display ads, social media campaigns, and the like. So before I get into that, though, I wanted to set up a little bit of context of why we took our product this direction. When I joined the company a little more than 3 years ago, we did a lot of market research, talking to our customers and understanding how they were using Hightail. And there were a couple themes that came up really consistently in the folks that we spoke with. The first is who they were. Overwhelmingly, our users were creative professionals, whether that was an individual photographer, videographer, architect, designer, on up to big firms in creative verticals, media and entertainment, consumer packaged goods, advertising, and so forth. So we really recognized that those were our users. And we also heard consistently the use case that they used Hightail for was to help them in their creative process. They were sharing files to collaborate with their team, both internally and perhaps with agencies and other outsiders, and move their project from concept to completion through the different stages of the creative process in creating their digital assets. So we really honed in on those users and that use case, and the term we coined to refer to this process is creative collaboration. So what is creative collaboration? For us, it is how digital content is created today. It is oftentimes multiple users, frequently geographically dispersed, frequently an extended team. That's certainly the case here. You know, we have an internal marketing department at Hightail, but we work with ad agencies, creative agencies, design agencies, individual videographers, and other folks, and we need to collaborate with all of them. That's where Hightail comes into play. One of the I think myths about the creative process is that it's sort of linear and simple, that you go from the concept on a napkin to the final published piece of digital content really easily. And anybody who participates in creating digital content knows there's could be nothing further from the truth. The creative process is very ad hoc often. There's a lot of brainstorming, there's a lot of revisions, there's a lot of going back to the drawing board. The approval process, the review process can be really convoluted. And so, when you look at tools that are traditionally put forward for managing projects, spreadsheets, Gantt charts, project management tools, they typically don't work very well for creative projects. They don't work very well for visual content. And so we took a different approach. We talked to a lot of creative teams and tried to understand better how the most effective creative teams worked and collaborated on visual projects. And there were a number of things that really came through in almost all cases. First, they're highly visual. Obviously, if you're creating a video, you're creating a design, you're creating an image, you need to constantly have that piece of content front and center in your creative process. They're also very dynamic. It's very hard at the outset of a project to define what all the stages, what all the phases, rounds, et cetera, that'll happen. So you need to be able to adapt as the project moves forward in perhaps unpredictable ways. They need to be contextual. So all the discussion and reviews and approvals and comments and everything that happen need to be in the context of that piece of content, so everybody knows what you're referring to. It's very hard to give content and feedback in email because you have to explain exactly what it is you're referring to. And another characteristic is that these projects are frequently sort of self-organizing. The participants, the creators themselves, and the project managers, et cetera, are really fluidly working with each other, quickly assigning tasks, quickly turning deliverables around, quickly issuing a new round of the project. And it doesn't really lend itself well to that detailed task list. So, the other thing that we heard when we talked to our customers is they're never really just sending a file. Although that's always been Hightail's sort of core value proposition, is sending that large file. It's always sending with a purpose. You're frequently trying to get feedback on a piece of content. You might need to have edits done to it, so you're sending it to a designer or a specialist to put in color effects or whatever it might be. It might be an update that you're requesting. Put up the new round, share that with the team. It might be a presentation that you're doing where you're presenting work to your internal boss, manager, CEO, to an external client or whomever. And sometimes you're getting approval, whether it's approval for an individual round of a project or a final approval before you go into production with it. So the new Hightail is really designed to accommodate all these use cases. We still see it as far and away the best way and easiest way to share files, and I'll show you that in the demo. Really quick and easy as Hightail has always been. But with our new Spaces capability, we have a number of new features that accommodate these additional use cases. So you can provide comments to your file and put those comments into visual context right on the asset that you're talking about. We have tasks, so you can assign tasks to people and create follow-up items for them. Version control in the product allows you to update new versions of the piece of content that you're working on as it progresses through the creative process. Previews are better than ever. You don't need to download the file. You can preview a rich media asset, stream that video or audio file right there. And approvals. You can manage approvals in the new Hightail as well. So as I get into the demo here, we're going to touch on all these areas, but you can see we're really directionally adding a lot of capabilities to manage your entire creative process within Hightail. So with that, let me jump into the demo. All right, so this is the Hightail interface. And I'm going to start with, I'm going to show a couple ways to share files. I'm going to start with the approach and the use case that probably a lot of you are familiar with, which is sharing a file via send. So you'll see a nice clean send form here. And I can enter all my information here. So I'm going to send this Hightail brand video to my team, say check it out. And you'll see over on the right here, you can pick files from your desktop as you've always been able to do, or just drag them and drop them if you want on here. But we have a number of additional ways to attach files to your send as well. By integrating with different cloud file storage services, Hightail's folders are integrated here. You can pull content straight out of Hightail. But I've also integrated with my Dropbox account, my Google Drive account, my OneDrive account, and I can easily pull all these pull content from any of those other systems straight into my send. So suppose our videographer shared a video with me via Google Drive. I can just grab that in Google Drive, attach it to my send, and away I go. So I can enter a password if I want. I can set an expiration date if I want this to go away after a period of time. Can require the recipient be logged in so that I know that only people that I want to get it are getting it, get a receipt of the download when it goes out, and away it goes. So easy peasy. One of the great things with this new release, though, is this is kind of the start of that creative process. I've shared this file with my team, and I can now go straight into what we call a space. So a space is a visual way to share files and get feedback on a particular asset. So if I tab over here, I'll show you what I would see as a recipient of this. This brand video comes out, and now I get this great page. I can see who else has been accessed this particular piece of content and has it shared with me. We've got great little profile icons so you can see exactly who it is. But I can also easily download the file right here if I want, or up in the top here. And I can view the file. So I don't even need to download it. I can go straight into a streaming video, which probably isn't streaming very well over the webinar. But this lets me see exactly the video in place here. And it goes into a great new feature, which I'll show you more about in a second, which is visual commenting. And you can click right on the slide. Before I get into that more, though, I want to go back and show you the other way that I can share files with people. So in addition to the send that I just showed you, I can create a space. So if I click Create New Space, suppose I'm doing an outdoor campaign and I want to share Billboard Creative with a group here. I can customize my space and put a header on it. So this might be, if you're an agency, you might want to put your branding up here. You could put your logo, whatever it might be. And then with this space, you can see I can add files just as I did when I was sending. So I can access them from these different services. So this time I'll go into my Hightail folders, pick some assets here related to this outdoor campaign. You can see them loading up. And I'll go get some other stuff from Dropbox. So suppose we had an external agency that shared some content with us via Dropbox. I can grab those, add them into the same space. So you can see this space was created. I've now got a bunch of files in a single space. I can drill into these, view these high-res previews of the file, make comments here, etc. So really easy way to create this shared space. And once I've got a space, I just click the share button. So I'm going to go to share this with Andy, our designer, and away that goes. So I've shared that space with Andy. He's going to get a link bringing him directly in the space so he can review, comment, download, whatever he needs to do with those assets. I can also, handy since we use Slack internally, share directly onto a Slack channel as well. So if I go in here, I'll pick a Slack channel, Hightail Collateral, share that out. That's going to go out directly into Slack. And if I tab over to Slack, you'll see that outdoor campaign pops up into the Slack thread with a link back to the assets that I want the team to review. So really great way to share content really quickly, really easily across a number of different sources. All right, so let me now go back into this brand video and show you a little bit more about how to do visual commenting on a file. So I showed a second ago how this file streams to me. Again, I've got this player bar here where I can control fast forward, pause, etc., jump around. And if I need to make a comment, I can just click on the frame itself. Video pauses. You see the comment box that allows me to specify what exactly on the page I want to comment about. So let's say here, can we feature this guy more? Looks like a designer. So that comment will go into this comment thread here at the bottom. And if you look over on the right here, all the comments that have been posted on this video are visible on this right nav. So I can see all the comments, and in fact, I can discuss each of these comments. So in any of these, I can drill into these and reply and say thanks to Jenny, my video editor. Really great way to consolidate all that feedback in one place. And the comments on the right-hand side here are real-time too. So Jenny can see what I've posted as it comes in. You can see the responses immediately. So you're always in context, per my earlier point, of the exact place in the video, timestamp in the video, and area of the frame that you're referring to. Another thing that you can do here, which I'll get into, is go straight from comments into tasks. Frequently what happens now is you got to decide what of this feedback are we going to incorporate into the next version of the video. And so if you see here, I added the comment, can we add a URL or something on this end card? Jenny says we can do that, but I want Andy, my graphic designer, to do that. So I'm going to say, do an @ mention. So an @ mention is a handy way to make sure that Andy gets this assigned to him. So he'll get an email with a notification that he needs to do something. So @ Andy, can you send to Jenny? I can also here mark this for follow-up. So if I click mark for follow-up, Andy not only gets a notification that he has an @ mention, but he knows that he has a to-do. He has an activity. So I'm going to go ahead and post that to Andy. And again, you can see all the different comments and discussion that have happened with this particular version. You see Andy replying there. And he's said, just send it to her, and the task is resolved. So this is a really easy, convenient, contextual way for me to see all the feedback that's happened in a particular round and know exactly what's been done and what's been resolved. All right, so let me show you some other things here as well. As I mentioned, those tasks usually turn into a new round of the particular piece of content. And so managing versions is another handy thing that you can do with Hightail. So if I click into this space, and by the way, this all spaces view here shows me all the projects that I've got underway, all the different creative projects, internal, external, with agencies, inside, so on and so forth, so I can keep track of all my stuff. So this particular space is for some work that we're doing on the website. And you can see I can drill in here and see all the different page designs that have been put up for review and feedback. I can flip through these and make comments as I showed you on the previous screen. But one of the really handy things that happens, and it seems like websites go through almost infinite rounds of revisions sometimes, is version control. So you can see on this version of the home page, I've got this version 4 up here, and if I click on that, I get this handy sort of cover art view that lets me basically go back in time and look at previous versions of this homepage design, back in this case to the original grayscale. And if I click in on that, I can see that particular version. I can download it if I need to. I can also click on the comments that happen for that version of the file. So I can look at all the discussion, look at any tasks that needed to be performed on this particular version before it went to the next version. And as a next version is added in, the previous version gets locked and those comments get sort of set. So you can always go back and have a record of what was said, what was done with each version of the project. This is super, super handy for really any creative project, but particularly with agencies when they're working with a client. Every agency can relate to a moment in time where there was ambiguity about whether a round happened or not, or whether the feedback was given. This gives you a nice record to keep track of all that stuff. And again, you can add a new version right here. The other handy thing about versions is it's independent of the file name, so you can have whatever file naming convention you use. Hightail keeps track of those versions linearly. The file itself can also be a different media type. So you might start in Sketch file or whatever, and then go into a PNG for sharing it. That file can be a different format, and you can keep all those versions in one place. All right, so the other thing that I wanted to show you, as files go through those rounds of revision, eventually you need to approve stuff. And so approvals is another great feature in Hightail that I want to show you real quick. So suppose Britt, our VP of marketing, grabs me in the hallway and says, hey, you got to review these assets for Carmel Film Festival, which was something we sponsored recently. We have a search capability, so if you have a ton of spaces, you can just go search by Carmel. I can see all the files and spaces associated with that particular keyword. And drill in here, and Britt's put all the assets for the Carmel sponsorship in one place. So I can drill in and see the tchotchke we're giving out, the email that's going to drop, the display that'll be at the event itself, the ad that's going to go into the program, etc. So all these items are right here. And you can see Britt's mentioned me a couple times to make sure that I stay on track and get my stuff done. She's asked for my approval on a couple of these items. And if you see if I mouse over the top here, this shows me that this particular version of the file has been approved, in this case by Britt. And I can then go in, say, looks good, approve the file, and you see it changes. So now it shows that I've approved it as well. And which version I've approved. So it's always contextual. There's never any confusion about what is it that I'm approving. You can see it right there. You can capture that. associate that approval with the round and the version that you're working on. So a really handy way to make sure that that follow-up happens. We also, those @mentions, incidentally, will go out via email as well. So if I'm I'll pop into an email account here. Colm may have sent to me a request to approve this particular ad creative. I can just click on that, takes me straight into his space. I can see that the asset looks great and go ahead and approve the file. So really handy way to keep track of all those things. Make sure that you're getting through your approval process in good time and in a timely fashion. All right, so the last thing I wanted to show you here is what we call our dashboard. So each space that you're the owner of has a dashboard associated with it. So if I go into this dashboard on advertising creative, which I produced, I get this additional little chart thing that says view activity. So if I click on that, it takes me into a dashboard view that really tells me what's going on with this space. We show when was it created, when were files uploaded, what comments, views have happened with the space over time. We calculate what we call a space health score, which shows you kind of how that activity has been trending since you created the space. We show recent activity, what's happened, how many files have comments. We show who has access to that space, and you can mouse over to see who's been active and inactive in getting done what they need to get done for these particular files. And then if I scroll down further, I can see a log of activity by date. I can see the different assets themselves and statistics on each of the assets. So for example, on this productivity asset, I can see there's 3 versions of that, 2 comments. It's been viewed 10 times, downloaded once. If I click on that, it gives me a sub view into that particular file. So it shows me the total comments. Scott mentions it's been done. Andy's downloaded it. So I know exactly what's going on with my project and exactly what's going on with each individual asset. And if I drill into these, I can go straight into that piece of content. Again, this one I mentioned has multiple versions. This is a Facebook ad that we were working on. I can scroll through the different versions, look at the different copy, make my comments, approve those, etc. So that's an overview of Hightail, the new Hightail, and our new Spaces capability. We're really excited about where the product's going, and hopefully you got a good sense of the different things that you can do within Hightail and within Spaces. So let me hang on here. Just go back into the keynote. If you haven't already submitted a question, we'd welcome questions. We tried to leave a little bit of time for questions. So go ahead and submit those, and Leanna's going to ask me some of those now.
Yeah, so I've actually seen a couple come in related to this. This question's from David. He says, does my client need to be a Hightail subscriber to be able to give me feedback?
No, which is one of the great things about it. So you can take a space or via the send feature that I showed you at the top of the demo, that goes out to a user. They can click on that link. They can access that link. They don't need to be registered unless you require they be registered. So it's important to note that you may want to protect your space. It might be sensitive content. You can password protect that. You can do what we call verify recipient identity, which means they need to be logged in and verified with that particular email. So, you can make sure your content doesn't get into the wrong hands. But no, for accessing it, downloading the file, they don't need to be registered. They can preview it. We do, if you want to make a comment, we ask for a registration so that you as the space owner knows who made the comment. So that would be the only time they'd be required to register. And of course, registration's free.
And I'm just going to read off one more question since we're a little bit over, but this one's from Jenny. Is there a limit on the number of users per space or files per space?
No, there's not. That's another great feature of Spaces is you can add as many different files in there as you want, share it with as many folks as you want. The file sizes, there's no limit to the file sizes either, so you can upload large file sizes to that space. So it's a really great way to share your content with, again, an extended team inside and outside your company. Okay. Great. So thank you, everybody, for joining.